So hello, my name is Saskia and welcome back to my channel. For those of you that don't know me, I have just finished my first year of psychology at the University of Southampton, and I had literally one request for this video, but I did consider filming it several months ago but just never really did. And you can probably tell by the title, I'm going to be going through my own personal statement, but also trying to give personal statement tips, as in like when I go through each section I'll tell you what was in my opinion good and what was in my opinion maybe shouldn't have been in there. I haven't read my personal statement since I submitted it 2 years ago? 1 year ago? It was like 2 years ago in October 2019? Like 1.5 years ago. It was a long time ago. Haven't read it. I know, I think it's on my Google Drive. I think I need to log into my school account, my sixth form account, which still hasn't been deleted. You know, thank you for that, I guess. I can still access all of my sixth form work. I mean, I moved all my sixth form work over anyway, but my sixth form account, like the sixth form that I left in March 2020, I still have access to. I'm in no way saying my personal statement is great or even good, okay? It got me into uni, but by it got me into uni, did it get me into uni or was it my grades? Because I had significantly above what the offer was, and I also had extra subjects, as in they asked for three A-levels and I had extra. So was it my grades all being A stars? Was it that I had extra subjects, or was it my personal statement? I don't know. Also, where did I apply? Let's do that. I did write the ranking downs because I know some people are nosy and they want to know the rankings, but the ranking doesn't actually mean that much. Like on this list, I literally went to the 4th lowest ranking for psychology, and the vibe and the course is significantly better than the other ones. And I've spoken to people at the other unis and they are not enjoying it as much as they should be for it being so prestigiously ranked. So I applied for Exeter, KCL, Nottingham, Southampton and UEA. I went to Southampton. Nottingham was my insurance, but I didn't really need an insurance. Hated Exeter, hated KCL, hated UEA. KCL was the worst one, and KCL is ranked 6th for psychology. No. Hated the uni, hated the modules, hated the lecturers. Hated it. Also hated the fact that it was in London, but like, yeah. Do I want to tell you the rankings? You can Google them if you're that interested, but like, I mean, Southampton's 26th for psychology, and it was better than the others by a significant amount on the open day, but it then is 15th for like, not global, what's the word? Like overall. Like it is the 2nd highest overall ranked, but it's the 2nd lowest psychology ranked. Yeah, there you go, there's your ranking stuff. If you're interested in rankings, there you go, but also stop being interested in rankings because they don't mean that much. That was a bit of a ramble. We are at 7 minutes of filming. But yeah, personal statement, I'm not saying it's good. I'm not saying it's great. I'm not saying it's anything. But it will help maybe to see a structure. I'll also link a website down below. I think it's called Studential. I think that's how you pronounce it. Which has loads of example personal statements. I personally thought they were awful. But it does also tell you what university they got into. Like most of them are really old, as in like 2009. But if you're looking for specific Durham ones, you can find Durham. If you're looking for specific psychology at Durham, you can find psychology at Durham. See which ones got into that uni and see what they kind of looked for. So I'll shuffle to one side. Hopefully that means I'll be able to put the personal statement here, but I don't really remember how to edit. It will either be here or it will be here. And it will be like paragraph by paragraph. So I will read it out to you. I haven't read this in years. I'm also really bad at public speaking. I'm really bad at reading things out. Like just talking on camera, fine. Reading things out full stop, awful. Oh, I'm gonna have to, do I have to put my glasses on? I'm gonna turn my phone this way so I can read. So if you see this, just because I can't read basically. So, we all ready? Oh, I fucked it up. We all ready? We all sitting comfortably. Oh, I hate it, but I love it. The third word is enigmatic. Enigmatic is a word and a half. That was my favourite word, and I had to include it in my personal statement. It was my favourite word at the time of writing it, had to go in. I need to stop rambling. So, should I try and keep this out of frame? I will be looking down, deal with it. So, in an enigmatic world, psychology helps us to break down the layers and reveal how and why people act the way they do. After being caught up in Hurricane Sandy in 2012 and witnessing people risk their lives to help strangers, I began to question their actions and wonder what had led them to act in the way that they did. Studying altruism helped me to develop an understanding of the events that I had witnessed and why individuals had chosen to display this behaviour. As studying altruism was an area of interest for me, I took the initiative and completed independent study on the topic to dig deeper into the theories behind altruistic acts, demonstrating my commitment to the course. So, first of all, I repeat the word altruistic a lot, but there's not another word that's better. Like, I could have used like pro-social behaviour, but that was just too many characters. Another thing, I did say studying altruism twice. That is something I would recommend avoiding. Like revising altruism, being taught altruism, studying altruism, don't use the same thing. But first paragraph should be an introduction to why you want to do the course. Where is your personal interest? It doesn't have to be like hugely real. This is true, but it doesn't mean it's true. Like, I was in Hurricane Sandy, but 2012, I was 11. Was I really thinking about art? Why are they doing this? Like, was I really sat there thinking, I wonder what cognitive model they're using to realise why they should help other people in this hurricane? No, of course I wasn't. Yeah, you can bend the truth. But yeah, first paragraph needs some kind of personal interest. Does it have to be that true? No. Like, don't make it up and be like, oh, I was in a car crash. But like, don't make it something rubbishy. And also, don't go too personal. I know a lot of people studying psychology have mental health problems. Yes, that's fine. But do you want to mention that? Do you want that to be the first thing you lead with? Like, I could have easily written something about my mental health problems, but what would have been the point of that? Literally nothing. And also, psychology is so little mental health. If I led with my main interest being mental health, 1/8 of what we've done, 1/8 of the content that I've done so far is mental health. Would I actually want to do the degree? Like, I personally don't recommend leading with mental health. You can include mental health if you want to, but don't just say like I was mentally ill. Like, it has to find a way to be beneficial to you. Don't just say like, oh, because I'm mentally ill, psychology is interesting because I've experienced it. Like, if you're going to include it, check with your teachers that they think it looks and sounds good and it isn't just kind of you info dumping, I have a mental illness. Because what's the point of that? Like, your personal interest should be some kind of interest, something relevant to you. It doesn't have to be something that you experienced, it can be something that you witnessed, or something that someone in your family experienced and you wanted to learn more about it, or just an area of psychology that you found interesting, and then, I don't know, it was in the news and you were like, great, interesting, that kind of thing. Your first sentence should be kind of good, but not generic good. Go on Google and type in like top 10 personal statement openers. Don't use them. Don't use them. Don't even consider using them. Don't be like, oh, ever since I was 3 I wanted to study psychology. No, you didn't. No, you bloody didn't. Like, you can be like, oh, when I was 3 I had an interest in psychology. But first of all, you didn't. And second of all, what does that add? Like, don't bother. Look for like, honestly, write your intro statement last. Like, write your personal interest, jiggy that around, and then find maybe the best sentence of that. Or find a way to lead into that nicely without it starting with like, I've always wanted to study psychology, or ever since I was 3, or just, I hate that kind of thing. And admissions officers also hate that kind of thing because it's boring. They have to read thousands of personal statements. First of all, do they actually read them? I feel like for some subjects they do, but for some, probably not. But like, if they are going to read it, they don't want to read the same personal statement 1,000 times because it's so boring. Even rereading my own personal statement was boring as heck. I didn't want to read it, it was boring. If it bores you, it's probably going to bore them. Yeah, paragraph 1 introduction to yourself, introduction to why you want to study the course. With psychology, pick an area that you've studied, even if it's not like that relevant or interesting, I don't care, make it up, find a way to link it to your life, and then find a way to show, like I tried to say like, oh, I took this initiative because I'm committed. Did I? Actually, I think I did because I was a bit of a weird kid, but every paragraph you want to try and link to some kind of like uni skill, like independent learning, time management, that kind of thing. But you also don't really want to explicitly say what I did, which is demonstrating my commitment to the course. That's a bit naff. So, the next paragraph I had was about volunteering. What an icon. So, through volunteering at my local library's summer reading programme, I was able to work with young children and support them to develop their language skills. Studying Chomsky's language acquisition device in my BTEC supported my understanding of how they developed their language over the summer and how they began to be able to assimilate sentences despite only learning words a few days prior. After gaining a further understanding of psychology when applying to study in the IB, I was able to provide explanations for the behaviours I observed while volunteering. Talk about something that you've done. It doesn't have to be volunteering, it doesn't have to be work experience. Like, you don't need work experience for psychology, you don't need volunteering for psychology, but I was like, I can link that to the BTEC I did, which, I mean, I'm not shitting on BTECs, I'm shitting on my BTEC. Although, work smart, not hard, easiest thing I've ever done, full marks, got me into uni, not a hard thing to do. I really did, I'm not gonna lie, I really didn't want to include, I'd done a BTEC in my personal statement, but my BTEC teacher was having a go at me. She's like, you need to include it. I was like, I don't want to. It doesn't make me look smart. It doesn't, like, compared to the other stuff that I studied, like my psychology, which was like hard, just made me look a bit stupid to put that in there. So yeah, it was technically psychology related, it was technically true, but I didn't want to include it, but I did because my teacher told me to. I would have preferred to not put that in there, I'm not gonna lie. Like, even if I could have just said like studying Chomsky's language acquisition device, got rid of it in my BTEC. I don't like it. I'm not shitting on BTECs, I'm shitting on my BTEC. Like, hate it, but really, really easy. Really easy way to get into university. Like, if you, I'm not going to say any more because then all the BTEC girlies will come at me and like, oh no, it wasn't easy for me, because this is side note, but I said this on TikTok ages ago that health and social care was really easy for me, and I got slated by all the BTEC girlies. They're like, no, it wasn't easy, clearly you didn't try very hard. I was like, I'm sorry, but who got full marks? Who got the highest grade that you can get whilst also doing other subjects and also being quite mentally unstable? It's also just my personal opinion. If you don't agree, that's fine. I'm not telling you to, I'm not asking you to. My opinion. Right, now that we've had our little BTEC chat, now that the BTEC girlies have left, so yeah, find a way to apply something practical in psychology, like something you can have observed, and you can link it to your first paragraph. Like, I could have linked volunteering to altruism. Well, it would have been quite hard, but I could have potentially done that. So then what have I got? I just hate the word study. Studying psychology helped to widen my knowledge and gain a deeper understanding of how and why certain processes affect behaviour. Doing my internal assessment and being able to complete my own version of Loftus and Palmer's research on reconstructive memory introduced me to the practical side of psychology, which I had not yet explored. Analysing the results from my study allowed me to develop my critical thinking skills, especially when being reflexive and examining my own possible influence on the results gathered. I like that paragraph. Most people don't tend to realise that psychology is a science. You do practical sciencey things. You have to analyse stats, you have to do studies. Putting that in, I think, was very good. Like, that's why we love the IB. Hate the IB, but love the IAs. Because first of all, 20% of your grades secured. Easy. And second of all, you do get to write a full report. The exact same style as the ones I've done at uni, just easier. But it meant that I already knew what went into a report. I already knew how to analyse my statistics. I knew my critical values. I knew how to write a table. I knew how to write my abstract. I knew how to do all of those things. And putting that in there, I personally think was a good addition to my personal statement. Also putting in like words like critical thinking, reflexive. That's about it. That's about it. But also, just another thing, from the paragraph above, using the word assimilate, bit of psychology terminology that's not kind of too, like, you want to use some kind of relevant terminology. You don't want to say like, oh, demand characteristics, social desirability. No, you sound like an idiot. But like, try and put something psychology in that's not too psychology, like reflexive. That's a nice psychology word, but I don't have to outright be like, demand characteristics, I know psychology. Like, it's just kind of showing you that I do know psychology, but without being, I know psychology, you know? But yeah, I really love that paragraph. If you did the IB, absolutely include something about your IA. Very, very useful. Probably the most useful thing I did in all of sixth form to help me at university was my IA for psychology and biology, but mostly psychology. Then I talked about my next subject. So I've now talked about BTEC, the volunteering, my personal interest, my psychology, and then because psychology is also biology, I want to include my biology because I didn't study biology for nothing. It does need to go in there. So through studying biology, I was able to build on the knowledge gained in psychology about the role of the brain and hormones in influencing human behaviour. Learning about neurons and the factors that can influence their function helped me to gain a deeper understanding of the physiological triggers behind certain behaviours. Very short paragraph. Was it needed? No. Did it add anything? Very slightly. I wouldn't say that's kind of an essential thing to put in there. I wouldn't say talking about the biology added too much for me. But again, showing that I know that psychology is biology. Because a lot of people don't know what psychology is when they apply for it. Like, you have to know that you're doing research methods. You have to know that you're doing biology. That's what psychology is. Like, I feel like it's obvious to me, but I feel like you should include it. If you need to know that, you need to show that you know what psychology is. So I knew that it had research methods, I knew that it had biology, so I included my experience of that to show that I, A, know what the course is about, and B, already have the skills for the course, but can also develop them. You don't need to have done these things before, but you need to show that you can develop these skills. You can go and do reports, you can go and learn the biology. You need to show that you have the ability to develop skills rather than already have the skills. Then we did NCS. Hate NCS, did a video about NCS, hate it, awful experience, but I wasn't going to have gone through that to not put it in my personal statement. So, teamwork baby, didn't learn teamwork, hated NCS, my team were awful, but I did have to put it in there. So, working with other individuals over the course of NCS helped me to develop my team working skills as I was grouped with individuals that I had never met before, and therefore had to get to know them and solve problems within a short space of time. During NCS, our project centred around helping young people to get support for their mental health. We did this through creating a social media account that signposted them to useful charities. Whilst doing my service learning, I built on this project as the issue was still topical and of interest to me. So that shows I do have some interest in mental health, but I've not explicitly said I'm mentally ill, but I've kind of been like, I understand mental health. I'm able to do projects within the community. I'm able to work with other people. No one knows what service learning is because it's part of the IBCP. No one knows what that is, but I wasn't going to explain that because I didn't have the characters. But, you know, you can kind of guess that it was something to do with a project. Like, you don't have to explicitly say what everything is, but make sure they can kind of guess what you're talking about. But if you did do NCS, probably mention it. It can literally be a sentence that says like, oh, I did NCS, team working in it. That is pretty much all of my like academic bits. So I think personal statements are supposed to be like 80% academic, 20% extracurricular or something like that. So like most of my personal statement was academic because university is academic. I just didn't see the point in being like, oh, I'm a good person, I can read, I can write. When they don't care, they want to know, can you do psychology? So then we have my next paragraph. So this starts with outside of sixth form. I think that's a chill opener. It's not great, it's not beautiful, but it clearly says like we're moving on from sixth form now, even though the NCS bit was moving on from sixth form. But I mentioned service learning, so I'm still in sixth form technically, doing that bit. But like then I talk about my own personal activities, and I don't do activities. I've never been part of like teams, clubs. I never did extracurricular activities because my sixth form was far away, didn't have the time, didn't bloody want to, but I did run a blog. That was the only thing I could talk about because I can't be like, I'm crazy on social media sometimes, because that's not going to get me into uni. So I talked about My blog didn't have to link it. That could have been a lie. They could have never found my blog. But I still wanted to include it because it showed skill. So, outside of sixth form, creating a blog allowed me to share my own experience of psychology and apply it to current issues within society, such as the mental health crisis. Despite psychology being unable to solve the crisis, it can provide some insight which can in turn support the creation of solutions. Keeping a regular upload schedule enables... I went into present tense. How did no one notice that? It should have been enabled. Me to work well with the deadlines, as I am able to plan, write and review each post before the upload day due to setting aside time each day to complete tasks. So I'm talking about an extracurricular activity. I've linked it back to psychology, and I've then linked it back to a skill that I have. So my skill is time management, which everyone has time management. So yeah, that is my extracurricular. That's pretty much it on my extracurriculars, because I didn't do any, didn't have anything to say about them, but had to show that I wasn't just an academic person. I am just an academic person. Well, actually, now that I come to uni, I'm not just academic, but before uni, my life was education. So yeah, I was just an academic person, but I had to show that I wasn't too academic. So, final paragraph. So, throughout the IBCP, I've been able to develop various skills that will benefit me when I go to university. Why have I then kind of gone into future tense? My tenses are all messed up. Having a heavy workload allowed me to develop my time management and organisational skills in order to ensure that all deadlines were met. Studying undergraduate psychology will help me to open doors for future careers in psychology, especially in a world with increasing demand for this. It will allow me to explore various aspects of psychology that interest me and eventually settle on a career path. I personally like this. The first sentence about workload and stuff, yes, true, but I did just kind of mention that a couple of paragraphs above. Didn't really need that. But I think a nice way to conclude is kind of, what do you want to do with a degree? And I don't know, and that's fine. And also, it's probably better that you don't know. If you write really passionately, I'm going to be a clinical psychologist, chances are you're not. First of all, let's start there. But also, you don't want to kind of narrow your path. Let's say I did really want to be a clinical psych, hate it, don't want to be a clinical psych, but let's say that even when I was writing this, that was my goal, I wouldn't want to have written that. I want to show that I'm versatile, that I can enjoy and explore all areas of psychology, that I'm willing to see where the degree takes me, rather than kind of force the degree to take me. And I've also mentioned kind of some relevance to real life. Because there is an increasing demand for psychology, that is a fact. But I've not said there's an increasing demand for clinical psychologists. There's just an increasing demand for psychology as a whole. So me doing this degree is beneficial to the world, not just to me. So that is my personal statement. It was, how many paragraphs? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. 7 paragraphs. 4 academic, 3 not. Yeah, I'd say 4 academic, 3 not. 1 intro, 1 conclusion. So yeah, general structure, introduction, introduce why do you want to study the course? Why do you want to study the course? Not why is psychology interesting, why is it interesting to you? Link something that you've done in psychology, make it up, I don't care, but just don't make it up too obviously. Paragraph 2, start building some academic foundations. Paragraph 2, 3, 4, 2 and 3, your academic side. Extra reading that you've done for your course, currently in sixth form. Any, even things like TED Talks, books that you've read, areas of psychology that interest you, journals, skills that you've developed in your current course as well. So, it doesn't have to just be your psychology. If you're doing music as well, what has music helped you learn that will be good in psychology? Transferable skills, that's the key word. They want transferable skills. They want skills that you developed somewhere else that you can bring over to here. Even if it's from GCSEs. If you did GCSE English and you were really good at quick reading and really good at memorising stuff, great, bring it over. Why is that now helpful? Well, because of this. Show that you know what the course is. Should be obvious, but some people have no idea what they're applying for. They know I'm applying for psychology, but they don't seem to understand that psychology is not just mental health, does have biology and does have maths and research methods. Show that you know that there'll be maths, that there'll be research methods, that there'll be all of these kind of things. And then, show your transferable skills from anything that you do outside of education. It can literally be like, oh, I'm a social media influencer, I have a YouTube channel and I have to stick to an upload schedule, or I am part of a netball team and I have to manage the team, or I have to play different positions or fill in. Find something that you do and link the skills all together. They don't have to link back to psychology, they just have to link to you being a good or better person essentially than someone else. But yeah, I think that's kind of it. That was my personal statement. I don't like it. Got me into uni. Did it get me into uni? Or was it my incredible grades? Yeah, that's my personal statement. There is a, like, UCAS do like a document that helps you write your personal statement. It doesn't really help you write a personal statement, but it has like questions to answer in your personal statement. And honestly, don't even worry about structure first time round. Just write whatever you want in your personal statement, then move it around. Ask all of your teachers to look at it. I asked all my teachers to look at it in like May, June, July of year 12. I got my personal statement done. I was like, right, give me your feedback. Then worked on it over summer. Came back, gave them pretty much the exact same personal statement to 5 teachers. I was like, right, what do you think? Took any of their feedback on, changed it a tiny bit, handed it in, and I was done. Like, you have got all of summer to do it. It doesn't take that long. You can write a personal statement in like an hour or two. Doesn't have to be beautiful. It doesn't have to use like too much fancy terminology, but like do try and link words back to your degree. Like, you know, reflexive, assimilate. I can't think of any other ones that I used, but like link things back. Show that you understand the subject. Show that you know what you're getting yourself in for. Show that you are a good candidate for the degree. And just show that you're a good person. Like, you don't even have to be a good person in real life, but if you can write it, there you go. You are a good person if you've written it down. But yeah, that is everything. If you have any questions about my personal statement, let me know. If you want me to look through your personal statement, send it to me on Instagram and I will happily help you through it. I have done that for several students before. Oh, another thing actually, just while I talk about that. Someone's personal statement I did look through ages ago for sixth form mentioned their specific sixth form. No, you can't mention a university because your personal statement goes to all 5. Like, if you're applying to Durham and York, don't say, oh, I really want to go to Durham because of this. York don't bloody want you if you're like, oh, Durham is my number 1. Don't tell them what university you're applying for. They don't need to know. Pretend, like, it's a generic university statement. It's not a, I need to go to Durham, I need to go to York. It's a, I am sending this general statement off. If you want me, let me know. Happy? Capiche? Everyone all good? Right, that is it. If you have any questions, let me know. If you hate my personal statement like I did, yes. If you hate your own personal statement, fine. Does it really matter that much? Like, psychology is a relatively competitive course, but at the same time, I don't think it's that competitive. Like, it's nowhere near as competitive as actually, like, competitive subjects, like healthcare and law, but yeah, that is it. That is what I have to say. Yeah, thank you very much. If you enjoyed the video, subscribe, give it a like, because people have been disliking my content recently. I didn't used to get dislikes. As soon as I uploaded my reacting to my university grades, it was like 100% dislikes at the beginning. I was like, oh. And also my Barbie video recently has 3 dislikes. Stop it, it's hurting my feelings.